2025's Pride Month actually lacked pride, but why? Hi, I'm Maria Paula Primero, clinical psychologist, and on this channel we talk about various topics and we analyze them from a psychological point of view. So if you're interested, please keep on watching. Before starting this video, I want to remind you that I give in-person and online therapy. So if you need a consultation, please feel free to reach me out on my social media, my phone number, my email. All of them will be listed down below in the description box as well. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, it will help me out a lot. And if there is a specific topic that you would like me to talk about, leave it in the comments down below or feel free to DM me on my Instagram. I'm always open to suggestions and I love interacting with you all. June is about to end and honestly it has surprised me as it was supposed to be Pride Month, a time for the LGBTQ plus community to celebrate their authenticity by throwing massive parades that used to make headlines in almost every single media outlet, shared all over social media. Those 30 days were a huge deal till this year, in which it seems that Pride has gotten mostly silent. And I, as a psychologist, thought it would be interesting to dig into the reason why is this happening. And you may tell me it doesn't have to do anything with my career, but it does. Guys, we as a society have a collective mindset which is built through culture. Culture is transmitted between us through our social interactions, which help us to get and process information to then shape our views, ideologies, behaviors, our whole psyche. And right now, this downfall of pride is a sign that our culture and our mentality are shifting. What's the reason though? To get a clear explanation, I think we need to analyze some of the things happening in the world right now. And yes, we may want to talk about a current political environment because it has a lot to do with this topic. Anyway, the first reason I believe pride has gone downhill is, you guessed it, DEI. I know DEI has been a thing in the United States, especially because they literally have buildings dedicated to it, but honestly, the rest of the world has been experiencing this stuff too, as many governments have been implementing DEI initiatives in every single place, making the entire globe way too woke. Of course, DEI includes races, nationalities, cultures, but especially the diverse sexual preferences, which is literally a joke for the rest of individuals that just want to live. Because one, when people have tried to apply for a job, for example, you know what matters the most? Not your capabilities, not your experience, not your degrees. You get more points if you're a gay, lesbian, bi, and extra points if you are trans. And we've seen how damaging this is because our services seem to be so inefficient nowadays because they are hiring vulnerable people rather than competent individuals for the sake of checking the DEI boxes, and they get more conditioned to focus on marginalized groups when they acknowledge the fact that governments or NGOs will give them monetary support for it. Yes, you heard it right. Every company, institution, enterprise receives a reward for being inclusive, meaning that they are receiving prizes not for being organized, clean, not for generating work or fabricating high-quality products, nor operating effectively, just for having a black trans woman that lacks from any experience in their staff. Other individuals, aka the majorities, have caught on to this. They've realized that DEI in reality is excluding normal, talented, skilled humans, and they've gotten reasonably angry. Because inclusivity has become the most divisive and discriminatory requirement in society, going against the equity it has claimed to desire. Number two, for the same DEI initiatives, companies have been forced to spend money for the sake of not being boycotted, and this simultaneously has caused society as a whole to be bombarded with rainbow items, homosexual kisses, trans characters, etc. It all started with businesses putting rainbow flags, dropping pride merchandise on June, which was okay, but then it wasn't a June exclusive thing. Then every company started to add DEI divisions to their departments, putting out weird, very LGBTQ-ish propaganda that has nothing to do with the actual product, but more with an agenda, as the Jaguar ad we talked about months ago here on the channel. And not only that, They started to mess up with children when they took drag queens to schools to talk about topics they don't understand and shouldn't even try to do, or pushing these conversations on kids' shows and school curriculums. These days, Pride is not only about a social movement that asks for equality, it has become a brainwashing, indoctrinating cult. I know not every LGBTQ person out there supports that. Actually, most of them hate this, but there is a minority inside this bigger minority that is loud and narcissistic, that believes everything should be the way they want due to their clothes and square mindset, and it's this minuscule group that has made their way onto public spaces to gaslight others into their extremist ideology. Is this smaller crowd of individuals the one that has also promoted way too much diversity with the millions of tags and pronouns they have? Just the plus they have next to their community's name should tell you how out of control this is, because they can't even fit every letter in their main name. But there is more. Now we even have people that identify as trans species, maybe to cover up their zoophilic tendencies, individuals trying to normalize pedophilia, actual pedos claiming they are gay couples wanting to adopt children to be able to form a family despite their sexuality, to then assault and unalive those innocent human beings. And that is not an isolated case. There are ill men claiming they are trans to get into any bathroom, dressing room they want to be able to assault others, especially children and women. DEI has gotten way too far to the point that ill, disgusting people can claim they are from these hopeless minorities to fulfill their dysfunctional desires, staining the whole LGBTQ community, and that is why a huge chunk of people have opposed to their inclusion. DEI has just facilitated exclusion from sane, straight individuals, from gays, lesbians, trans that have dignity and integrity and just want to be treated as normal human beings, from women that put so much effort to get more degrees in hopes to be selected for a job, those that have trained a sport for their entire lives to finally win that gold medal, from children that deserve to grow up with the innocence that characterizes them. And instead, it has given mentally ill people a VIP pass to corrupt others and do whatever their dysfunctional minds want to do without limits. And when there are no breaks, sooner or later a collision will happen. And in this case, the crash is just normal and dignified human beings that are fed up with so much chaos and crimes being normalized and protected. Hence why they've also backed down with their support to the LGBTQ community, not because they are whatever phobic, but rather because they want balance to come back to our world. And maybe that's one of the reasons why Pride kinda flopped in 2025, but there is more. Number 2, it seems they don't even know what they are marching for anymore. Back in the day, Pride parades made sense. They had a purpose. It was about people with different sexual preferences demanding to be treated as human beings and be allowed to evolve in society normally instead of being seen as monsters. They didn't want to be tagged as gays, lesbian, queers. They just wanted to be humans that happened to have different preferences, but the latter was secondary. They just wanted to work, to study, to go to movies, to the clubs, to live normally without making their sexuality their whole identity, which was actually reasonable. It's a fact that back in the day, the LGBTs were pushed to the side just because they were gay and it was unfair. As time has gone by though, they've gotten every single thing they wanted. Now what? I would say it would make sense if they reunited in Pride Month to celebrate that now they are free as every citizen, but no. As I said before, there are not limits for these people and they think they can demand for the most outrageous things to be normalized as pedo or zoophilic behaviors. But not only that, they are so willing to protest for everything and anything just for the sake of marching, making their movement so incoherent and senseless. Nowadays, we have naked people walking around just because they can. What does nudity mean for the LGBTs? Then we have feminists joining Pride's walkways to cry for their rights and legalize abortions. How does that contribute for the inclusion of the LGBT community? Let's not forget about activists that have decided to make Pride an anti-ex-president thing. I thought June was about celebrating who they are and not making it all about the fascists. But I guess that's also why they have caused riots and violence to oppose to deportations. Yes, some illegals could be gay, but it was supposed to be Pride Month, not Immigrants Month. Needless to say that actually it would be more beneficial for the queers to get rid of those illegals that are trying to impose their homophobic ideas, even by unaliving homosexuals. However, I'm not completely shocked because Pride has even featured Palestinian flags when that's still one of the most homophobic nations in the globe. So taking their flag to Pride, that's technically demanding for the regression of the LGBTQ rights. As you can see, every woke topic of conversation has merged into Pride, but when too many things get mixed into one huge mess, they become a bunch of nothing. It's just when you were a kid and you mixed all of those colorful pieces of clay, hoping for it to look cool, but it turned out into a sad-looking ball. It probably made you feel that mixing all of the colors was pointless. That's Pride today, an obsolete march for nothing. And in the moment something makes no sense, it lacks purpose, and when something has no purpose, there is no motivation to keep fighting. And that's why some people, even when they are gay, lesbian, trans, they just don't want to be tied to the LGBTQ crowd. They don't want to be related to those asking for nothing at this point because it ends up being an entire circus. It's this whole nonsense that has banished the power of the LGBTQ community. But wait, because money also gives power. But this year, longtime Pride sponsors have stepped back too. Yes, you heard it right. Companies have also retired their support to the LGBTQ community, influencing on Pride's downfall. Let's be raw and honest, money does give someone power. That's a reality that many want to deny, but it's there anyway. With money, you can do plenty of things, invest it to grow your wealth, from research activities related to AI or carbon removal technologies, go on a $500,000 space flight, spend $100K to make a TikTok for it to get banned later, or as NGOs have done, they can give heavy money prizes to governments, universities, schools, companies, or foundations for supporting whatever they want them to support, as the LGBTQ ABCDEFG plus movement. As they say, when there is smoke, there is brass, and every institution was the happiest getting enormous quantities of money by opening DEI departments, inclusion courses, and seminars, by allowing children to transition and cut their genitals at 5 years old, by throwing publicity campaigns featuring Black plus-size trans women. But as I said before, the LGBTs have been stained by ridiculous nonsense and pathological requests in the last couple of years. They have oversaturated society with sentiments wearing people out to the extent that they just rather to stop visiting these pro-pride entities. And because these annoyed individuals are a majority, these entities have been actually losing millions of dollars. Those checks from the NGOs have resulted in insufficient hitting companies with the reality that actually society as a whole just wants normal stuff. They don't want to be educated when they grab a coffee. They want to relax and forget about the world for a minute. They don't want to have a jump scare as soon as they step into a clothing store or clothing aisle at Target. They just want something to wear. They don't want to ride a motorcycle with pride. They just want to go on a ride with their friends. With everything getting too political and too woke, common individuals have learned to perceive inclusion as a forced task, generating rejection, and enterprises have just gotten the memo. This is why they haven't released any Pride merch, they haven't decorated their stores with flags, nor they have funded those parades. Pride is just not profitable anymore due to the oversaturation of it, so brands won't invest in it. Therefore, the LGBTQs don't get awarded either, making them unmotivated to go to pride marches, aside from the indignation of them becoming parades for everything, turning it into a club of 4 people that are screaming for wokeness. And last but not least, society is waking up to the fact that the LGBTQ community is not actually as inclusive and embracing as it has claimed to be. Before you tell me, I know previous points in this video kind of already said this, but I need to give you pop culture examples to make this statement even more evident. I'll get straight into the point, not pun intended, but queer celebrities seem to have become straight. It started with gay pop icon JOJO SIWA allegedly cheating on her non-binary partner with a man to date him after that. I've made a video on this topic already, linked down below. Of course, JOJO and Chris's relationship has its own fishy stuff due to the infidelity rumors surrounding it, but she was trying to be the new Lady Gaga for the homosexuals before that, hence why people have been bashing her. Nonetheless, she's not the only case. Queer singer Clara was spotted with a man at Addison Rae's listening party recently, and her fans are throwing tantrums online because how could a queer, aka an individual with a fluid sexuality, fall for a man? Oh, and remember Billie Eilish, who came out as bisexual in May 2024 and even released a whole song about having women for dinner to metaphorically express her attraction to females? Well, in November 2024, she confessed to regretting coming out because people started over-sexualizing her, lesbianizing her, when she never came out as a lesbian, which has made her pretty much uncomfortable. Now, I do gotta say, she does have some responsibility for this as well because she was sharing way too much intimate information, but at the same time, she said she was queer, meaning that she could like whoever she wanted, not only women, but it seems that for the woke audience that doesn't matter. They have to homosexualize everyone that doesn't fall into the extremist LGBTQ spectrum, yes or yes. Hence why they've been losing it after Billie was spotted all lovey-dovey with Nat Wolff, a man. And you know how this goes. Now she's been accused of queer baiting and betraying the gays. Honorable mention to Demi Lovato, who after being queer, they them, singing to ghosts, and melting down over diabetic desserts, went back to be called a she and got married to a man at the beginning of June. Proud. But guys, the craziest story that I have for you is about singer Fletcher. Since the beginning of her career, she's always been openly queer, meaning that she's been open about liking everyone basically. However, that caused people to automatically homosexualize her, which explains why her artistry in general has been built around her liking women, and I get it, because she has done that as it's sold. But again, she never rectified from the fact that she's a queer person, and she's remained queer throughout the years. Therefore, she's been up to date man as well, which she has done recently. But here's the twist. She was aware her fanbase was going to outrage if they got to know that she fell for a guy. So before any media outlet or paparazzi caught her being straight, she released a song apologizing to her fans for dating a man in hopes they'd be understanding to her and her fluid sexuality. But instead, she has been dragged for even daring to go out with a male, to the extent that she felt the need to post a video apology aside from the song. It hasn't helped her though. She's still receiving hate. And these 4 are just examples, but they show how intolerant the LGBTQs can be. Some of them, plenty of them, they are always portraying themselves as this lovely, supportive, encouraging community of people, while you give up to their nonsense though. Otherwise, they'll just hate you to death. If they were as embracing as they claim they are, they would understand Billy, JOJO, Clara, and Fletcher's desire to date men right now. They would be aware of the fact that they are queer, not lesbians for sure, but even if they came out as lesbians before to correct themselves now and they guys, the LGBTQs would also be accepting. They would put their theories into practice that sexuality is fluid, and they would have to keep encouraging them to explore their sexuality freely, but no. They decided to hate on them, to attack them, and bully them online, showing their true colors and repelling mentally sane individuals from their collective in the process because they are showing how hypocritical and closed-minded they are, because they are showing how selfish and narcissistic they are, hence why they want to impose everything they want to for the rest of society, and not only in Hollywood or social media, everywhere, even in the school system, in business and politics, but this only overstimulates and oversaturates people's brains, exhausting them from the madness of pride that nowadays is not about inclusion, but rather a bunch of nothing that tries to brainwash people to normalize actual mental illnesses and dysfunctional behaviors. And that, my friends, explains the downfall of pride. Is there something you learned from this video or something that you would like to add to the conversation? Leave it on the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like and share with someone that may find this useful. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you never miss out from more interesting psychology content. Thanks for watching.